the Undress Show. Yes, it's Wednesday night. Undress recorded in front of an unmitigated semi-alive audience at Conroy's Emporium, where you can catch anything your heart desires. Hello, my fellow Undress. My name's Jeremy Taylor, and I'm here to host the talk show that pretends to care. So we're getting hundreds of hits every day. Still, the Undress website clearly underlining the notion that thousands of folks who watch porn are in fact a seriously discriminating bunch. Our undressed but not entirely naked panel tonight include barred from sucking the life essence from young and unsuspecting Republican voters, Kathleen Taylor is with us.
It gets worse every week.
The very wise Dr. Orlando is here largely just to be wise.
Thank you.
The Dark Lord of European pheromones, still pining for his home in those faraway Bulgarian mountains, Lord Ivo Ivanov. And then we have that multi-talented Ken Hayes, having just returned this day from teaching a lecture series on acceptable condescension when dealing with the Chinese and bananas, while staying suave to MIT students. So I know you all want to know what's been going on at Conroy's bar during the week. Well, a sad thing happened the other day. Really sad it was. It's very sad. So Conroy was behind the bar drying some glasses when a guy comes in and orders 6 shots. Conroy says, "Looks like you're having a bad day." The guy says, "Am I ever?" He says, "I woke up late for work, and on my way to work I got in a wreck, and when I got to work I was 4 hours late because of the wreck, so the boss fired me, and to top it off I came home to find my wife screwing my best friend." Conroy says, "That's terrible. What did you say to your wife?" The guy says, "I told her to get out and that I never want to see her again." Conroy says, well, what did you say to your best friend?" The guy says, "Bad dog."
This is
That's sad.
Right,
that is sad. Isn't that sad?
It's sad on many levels, and it started with, how did it start? That Tom Conroy was drying glasses behind him. That has never happened, ever. I mean, he has ever dried a glass.
So let's get on with it. It is, as every week, with as little contempt that I can muster from deep within my now disillusioned nether regions, that I approach with caution formed of years of self-doubt. A subject so devoid of consequence that I hardly dare share it with you, but nevertheless, here it goes. Now, look, I want to know, might the country's daily obsession with Donald Trump lose Hillary Clinton the election? We keep asking, why is he doing so well? And he's on TV all the time. He's on more than the Geico Gecko. Coincidentally, he has very small hands. Have you noticed that? Just like the gecko.
I'm usually too busy watching that crotch. Hold on for just a second.
Wow.
I have to say, because you weren't here, I just have to point this out. I want you to guess who on the panel called it for Donald Trump winning the nomination. You guessed it!
All right. From the get-go.
Kim Kardashian could also run for president. Would do okay if we gave her the same level of coverage that we give Donald Trump. So what's it all about? Trump?
Actually, she gets more coverage.
Actually, she generally goes around with very little.
Yet more
she has
coverage.
that very large posterior. Trump calls Hillary Clinton a liar, and the Trump supporters believe him, and Hillary rises above the taunts, and her people believe her. Trump really doesn't care what he says about her, while she doesn't fire back, avoiding a he said, she said. The voters, meanwhile, think, well, everybody in politics, everyone in Washington, everybody in the media are lying, lazy bums taking their money. I think that's what people actually think. The establishment hate him, they don't like him, they keep telling us he's bad for us, so we like him. And he can bring out his steaks as well. He can bring out whatever he wants. And people are going to just love it. And Hillary loses.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Sounds good to you. Yeah.
Well, the key to it is I think that Donald, because of his occupation and what he's done in his lifetime, he knows how to exploit the media better than Hillary does. And he is much better, if you want to use the term mob or rabble, he's a better rabble rouser. He's better at controlling the mob.
No, not controlling.
I don't think he controls them. I'm sorry.
He's
go ahead.
better at rousing.
He controls the message too, though. Much better. It's a better delivery, and it's
more effective for sure.
Exactly, and he knows how to work it. Hillary, she just comes across as being pissed off all the time. You know, she looks like she's angry, a lot of times, especially if depending on what the questions are. And so
hang on, so does Trump. Trump always looks like he's angry,
Yeah,
and he
but
always
that's-
is.
but
Guys are allowed to be angry.
That's
Yeah.
the point.
Yeah.
Guys are allowed to
Exactly.
be angry.
and that's all comes back to the delivery of the message.
No,
I'm
it
mad.
comes back
I
to
don't
being
wanna
male or female.
No, I'm mad. I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm going to stand up for you, and that's the message that he's sending. He has his message packaged well, and it comes down to package and spin.
I'm not sure that his message gets that far. In that, I don't think.
Well, it got him to the nomination.
Well, no. I was terrified that he was going to end up winning the nomination, and here we are.
And now you're terrified?
And I'm even more terrified now that he ostensibly has it. I'm not sure that his message goes so far as to say, I'm going to stand up for you. His message essentially says, I'm sick of it. I'm not going to take it anymore.
Right.
And you guys can come along with me if you want to see me tear some shit up.
I'm not agreeing totally with what the message is, nor am I believing it. I'm
Right.
just saying that I'm looking at what he's packaging and what he's selling.
Right.
And there's obviously a very willing market out there to buy it.
They're both extremely unlikable. Donald Trump is likable the way Charlie Sheen was likable. He's
Good analogy.
Yeah,
I like that.
He's just blunt, out of control. He's crazy and he loves it and he owns it, and he says whatever comes to his mind. And that's kind of weirdly refreshing for a lot of people.
And he contradicts himself at every turn.
And he
but
doesn't
that's
care.
all right
And
because
he
people
doesn't care.
simply listen to what they want to listen to, and they don't listen to the rest of it.
And he lies in a very interesting way. He is unashamed when he lies. Hillary is unlikable because she's such a refined liar. And people read right through it, and she's very. Kath, I know you're a big fan. She's extremely unlikable. I am on your side. I'm to the left, but I cannot spend more than 2 minutes even looking at her. There's something fake about her persona, about her exterior. I know she's educated, she's qualified, she's everything, but there's something really off-putting about her.
I think what you guys need to realize is that there is an ingrained sexism, and part of what
That's
you
true.
dislike about her is that she's female. If she were a male doing exactly the same thing in exactly the same presentation mode, you'd like her much better.
I definitely think that is possible, but that also mitigates the notion that there are some unlikable things that she does.
Yeah, but men don't have to be likable.
She still
Women
has,
do. Somehow, being unlikable is the crime of all crimes with Hillary Clinton. It wasn't the crime of all crimes with Cruz. Isn't the crime of all crimes with other
it
men.
is. No,
it
it is.
was.
It is. Do you remember Dean? It took one weird scream for him to never ever have a chance at the president. I mean,
I'd forgotten about that.
And she's like this. She goes with this fake plastered smile on her face, like she's made out of plastic, and points at people and has this fake smile, makes these weird shrieks, and her laugh is so fake. And sometimes that's enough for people to just say no. I'm not gonna do it.
The trouble I have is that I'm sitting next to Kathleen tonight, and
So I can reach him.
can't actually
And you might
say
have to
that
go
I
home
think she
sometime.
looks like a chipmunk because
Ouch. But
when Hillary Clinton is
I think I
not
might
being
just say that
the
again because I really enjoyed that.
when she's not being that political persona, when the camera actually happens to catch her when she's being her genuine self, I don't think there's anybody that is as likable as Hillary Clinton. I don't think there's been anyone within the confines of what we've seen from the candidates that, from my perspective, is a more genuinely likable person. But when she's being the politician, there is something off-putting about
Just
it.
like in every other job, women at a job have to be 10 times as good as the guy, and that same thing holds true with Hillary Clinton. She's
That's
not
probably
10 times
true.
as good.
Well, I
she
think it's
has
true.
problems with presentation. I admit that. But in a guy, they would not be the things that you would be concentrating on the way they are with Hillary Clinton.
I would definitely agree with that. But I would also point out that there's a lot of people out there that don't like Obama, that don't like Cruz, that don't like even Trump, merely because of the mannerisms. I mean, that is
I don't. I mean, Obama is the coolest president ever in terms of mannerisms and behavior. I mean, he's
But some
so
people
relaxed.
absolutely hate it. Some
Yeah.
people think it's unpresidential.
Well,
and
some
yeah.
do, some don't. The whole part when he's meeting foreign leaders and he's always caught bowing. It's like, oh God,
Yeah,
why?
yeah.
Why are you kissing this guy's ass? I mean, come
Oh
on.
yeah.
He does that?
Well,
Yeah, and then when he's
Well,
meet-
that was in
That's a
Japan,
Hawaiian
right?
thing,
Or-
isn't it?
Japan,
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia, China.
You're
I
watching
mean,
Fox
it's
News again, aren't you?
You are.
I watch.
Because
Actually, I
that's-
watch both.
Okay.
But if you look
those
at-
are the photos they put on.
He's
well, it's some of it, but
he's very liked around the world, and maybe that's part of it. I mean,
it depends
I
on
don't
which
know.
part of the world you're in.
Well,
Yeah? Which
I mean-
parts don't like him?
It's not. Well,
Other than
it's the
Putin?
United States.
well, Eastern Europe at this point.
Well, maybe
And
a
you
little
would rather
bit.
be
who's
popular
looking
with
to
them?
the United States to protect
Yeah.
them are really nervous about Obama being president.
yeah.
He's not well liked there. He's not well liked in a lot of parts of Asia, which feel the threat from the Chinese. The Middle East, I'm not sure that they like anybody, so I'm not sure that's a good example. But there's a lot of countries over there that don't care for him.
It's a valid
Egypt is-
point.
Yeah, Egypt has separated a lot of their ties with us, and are now dealing with the Russians because they're more reliable. And they
So
don't
you've
tell them
named
how
a
to
whole
handle-
lot of a bunch of countries that don't like him because they think he's not doing enough to
They
protect
don't feel
them.
that-
And you
that he's
think that
strong
Donald
enough.
Trump might be any better?
Did I say that?
No, but what I'm saying is nobody points that out about Trump.
I
They
don't think
pick
it ever
on
gets that
stuff,
far.
because
Never
this
gets
is
that far.
such small potatoes.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think
Trump
that
has
it
small
never
potatoes.
ever gets that far.
Well, maybe.
Yes.
Who knows?
Very small
These small
potatoes.
hands, I knew about
Yeah.
that, but I didn't know about his potatoes. How bizarre.
His message is well packaged.
You see
It's a
it?
small package, but yeah.
Small package.
So,
Lovely.
so,
Am I bothered?
so we can't be bothered about who likes us and who doesn't, of course, but we gotta say that our international reputation has gone probably at least 5 times up since the George W. Bush years, and we've done better with diplomacy. I guess his doctrine, his international message, his policy would be of non-participation, or what do you like, overly passive, and he's been
Who are
criticized
you talking
about Obama. He doesn't
I would
want to get
definitely
involved
say it's
with
non-aggressive.
ground troops and all that stuff.
Yeah, it would be more along the lines of, I wouldn't call it isolationism, but it's more about using diplomacy versus using economic or military power.
And still, he's got the game of drones going.
Yeah.
He still has
Were you
something
waiting from
I've
like
been working on the game of drones. I've been waiting for that one. But yeah, it's an interesting legacy that he's going to leave. We're going to have to look back 10 years from now and decide whether he was really a great
And that is
leader.
the funny thing about presidents in the United States. When Harry Truman left office, he had an approval rating that was very, very low.
Yeah.
And nowadays, he's considered to be by most presidential experts, to be the 7th greatest president in the United States.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
history time will tell.
Time will
we'll
tell.
know in 20 years, 30 years. We'll see how things play out.
But W definitely, even in 20 years, he's not going to be a Mount Rushmore president, right? We can say safely that everything he touched turned to shit.
they'll just
basically.
build a Mount Bushmore for him, and
Well, he's
put
got the
him on
money,
that.
he can do it
Yeah,
himself.
that's it. So, but kind of going back to your question, Jeremy, is America obsessed with Donald Trump?
I think America is, in the same way that they are about the Kardashians. And I mean that seriously.
No,
I mean,
Yeah.
that's why I asked the question.
Kardashians have made themselves. I remember saying at an event I was doing a hosting thing in front of 400 or 500 people 3 or 4 years ago, and I said, just for a laugh, I said, "Who or what is a Kardashian?" And people go, "Well, they're the people on the TV." I'm thinking, what? They, just because some woman gave somebody a blowjob and she became famous,
Yeah. You know what
Paris
I think?
Hilton, she did the same thing. Look at the Hilton brand.
Yeah,
they have
but
hotels everywhere now.
Just famous for being famous. But you know what? I'm thinking? Even if Trump doesn't become president, he kind of opened the door for possibly the next president, for the next elections. And I think, you might laugh at me, but I think it's going to be Mark Cuban. Did you hear about the efforts to get him to run for president now?
Yeah, he says he doesn't want to.
Yeah, he said that there's not enough time.
Oh.
But there's a very, very serious effort. There was serious effort from the Republican Party to motivate him to run right now. And he's a guy that's an extremely good macro manager. He's incredible at working with people and getting people to work together. He's fantastic. He's a self-made billionaire, one of the richest people in the world. He owns a basketball team, and he stood up to the entire institution, the National Basketball Association, to defend the interests of his team.
Repeat, who is this again we're talking about?
Mark Cuban.
Mark Cuban.
Mark Cuban, he's the owner of the Dallas Mavericks. He's a proven winner.
Unlike Trump.
In a way,
And he's actually
unlike
rich.
Trump.
Again, unlike Trump.
He started selling trash bags door to door in college. He had no money. His grandfather is an immigrant, a Jewish immigrant from Russia. A very interesting guy, very well versed, extremely intelligent, liked by everybody on both sides of the aisle. And I think this would be, and he's interested. And he's going to be good. And I think running as a moderate Republican in the next elections you never know. He can do it. So, I'm calling it. Mark Cuban next time.
But I'm not sure that that's what the rabble wants.
Nope.
They want a Trump who is a flamboyant convert.
People love billionaires for some reason, and especially self-made rich people. And Donald Trump kind of opened the door. Donald Trump, his problem is he's got like 400 word vocabulary, and his intellect is not there, and he is very polarizing. So he has a chance now. I admit he has a chance, but I still think he's not going to be president because of everything that he has said.
So afraid.
And because he's alienated every woman and all the minorities, and you gotta have those guys on your side. So it's gonna be hard for him. He can win it, but it's gonna be extremely hard. For Mark Cuban, it's not gonna be that hard. I think he's extremely intelligent, very well versed in everything: politics, business, economy, managerial style, communicating with people. So it's gonna be an interesting option.
Somebody to look at. I'll have to
His biggest
do some
strength.
research.
His biggest strength is that he is a professional.
Yeah.
He is very successful. He has been on TV
A lot.
He's on
in Shark
the
Tank.
Shark Tank.
Yeah.
He's one of the guys on the Shark
The
Tank.
richest person on Shark
Which I've
Tank.
never seen.
by
Yeah.
far, and it's not on HBO. But anyway, he is a nice person. That's the whole thing.
And
is
don't
he-
forget the hair. Have you seen the hair?
He's got some great. He's got
real hair.
great hair going on, but he's not an offensive person.
Yeah.
and you're right. He would be great as a great moderate candidate. Again, it'll be all about what the times are like.
Yeah.
Now, I'm very interested, I'll change the subject slightly, in looking at healthcare in America as it is today, right? As Liberal Democrats across the country celebrate the beginning of the affordable healthcare for all, we hear that critics of affordable healthcare have maybe had some bad news in some ways. United Health, the country's largest health insurer, is going to be pulling out of many markets next year. However, 13 million people have joined the market, and Obamacare was meant to spur competition among insurance companies, thus constraining premiums. This dynamic does seem to be working to the detriment of United, which is why they're pulling out. And secondly, the law has curtailed many of the ways that, certainly for myself, insurers used to contain their costs, such as refusing to cover certain people with certain treatments, like diabetics, for instance. So my question is, why is America virtually the only civilized country in the world not to have some form of national healthcare system that is free at the point of delivery if the patient wants it?
Yeah, why? Why can't we do that?
Well, because we're the most rapidly capitalist society in the world, and we're driven by the market. And the engine of this country has always been the market economy. So we were always kind of prone to leave things to be decided by the market. So
Well, not always.
agree-
Not always.
Well, I'm going to buttress his notion
Yeah.
that...
Your pardon?
Never. Calm
When
down.
I'm doing radio,
Calm
we
down,
ask
Jeremy.
about words like that.
I think that he's 100% on point, and I think that the medical pharmaceutical lobby having as much sway over our congressmen is the second part of what Ivo just described. The notion of privatized medicine, privatized healthcare appeals to us on a ideological level. And there have been companies since the beginning of the country that have figured out how to make a profit from that. So
Right.
it is my opinion that the profit motive is so deeply ingrained in our medical system that it will be well nigh impossible to get it out.
Yeah. And to back it up even further and make it maybe even more blunt, money is valued over life here in
Yeah.
the United States.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. And the other thing is that Americans, whether they realize it or not, whether it's good for them or not, they want that freedom of choice. They don't want to be told, this is what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Worse yet, if I don't do this, then I will be penalized through the taxation system.
Yeah, and that's why the resistance to Obamacare was such spontaneous and so massive. It's just people did not like the idea of the government telling them that they
What to
have
do.
to subscribe. It's not an option.
The funny / ironical / really, really depressing part is they have that same limitations on their choice right now
Right.
placed on them by the insurance company.
But then you'd have to spend some time and study the actual problem as opposed to watching CNN.
Yeah, we don't like studying stuff and
Did you
researching.
say study?
Study. and I'm
I
not
quit school when I was 7 because I didn't want to study. I'm not going to start now.
And I'm
I
not
ain't
trying
one
to
for fancy book learning.
I'm not trying to loop back to the Trump versus Hillary conversation, but that's the point that I was trying to get across with that is Trump keeps his message simple, keep
Yeah.
it simple, stupid.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
2
he's gonna,
syllables,
and he's
maximum
gonna
per word.
bang it right through.
Yeah, and
So-
Hillary uses politician vocabulary.
She's a
and,
policy wonk.
Yeah, so yeah, you're right.
But
You're
that's
right.
good. I mean, there's this place where we should really all want policy wonks. I think we all want somebody that can also, be entertaining in front of if you sit down, that whole thing about, people voting for George Bush because they felt like he was somebody they could sit down and have a beer with.
I
Yeah.
really
Which-
think that Trump needs to step up his game, though, for this general elections. I think he needs to learn to tap dance.
Yeah.
Don't you
Well,
think?
I thought he was
had
going
this
with the
weird thought.
tambourine.
Maybe.
If,
maybe.
I would feel a lot more comfortable about Trump if he stopped messing with his hair. And I mean this completely seriously.
It's just jealousy on your part.
If he had I've had long hair, pal, a lot longer than you have. Curly fuzz, bum fuzz you have on there. What I'm getting at is that if he went and got a haircut,
Yeah.
right, and stopped with this sort of blow-over toupee type
he
thing.
can't get a haircut. Has to go to veterinarian for a haircut.
Well, I know. And
If he got his
heard they
hair
bring
any
that- they
shorter,
have
you could
bands where
see
they'll
the
come to your
plugs.
house
You
and do
know,
that now.
you have
So-
to hide the plugs.
he's going to
So-
make some form of, I don't know what it is, but something's going to be made homeless.
Tell us about medical care in England, because we were talking about the lack of free medical care here, and I've heard that in Britain, whether you have cancer or you have a irregularly shaped object stuck in your ass, you can go and the government will cover it for you.
Basically,
to
the
the emergency
situation is that
He told you
if-
those stories too?
Yeah. Is if you have appendicitis,
Yeah.
right? Let's say, and you get rushed into hospital in an ambulance. Mm-hmm. Okay. They
Sorry
will.
to interrupt. When you say appendicitis, you mean an irregularly shaped object in your ass.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's code for that.
Yeah.
What happens is that you will get rushed in and they will work on you. If you have a heart attack and you drive yourself to the hospital, it is critically important that you say, I am having a heart attack. The reason I think I'm having a heart attack is because my arm hurts, my chest hurts, and all that sort of thing. Otherwise, you will be made to sit out in reception and you could wait for hours and hours
It's
and hours
probably
and
the same
die.
here. It's probably the same.
But the big difference
places.
is you don't have to have a thought process about losing your house.
Yeah.
And I think that regardless, it's interesting. We have our businessman here with Ken. You know, you have family, young family, and you also have parental family.
Yeah, from
living with
80
you.
to 10.
Yeah, right. But at the same time, you work and you generate your own income.
Right.
My interest in this, and it is genuine interest, is that America really is the only civilized country that doesn't have some form of national health care, free at the point of delivery. It's not forced in England or in many other countries. You don't have to have it. You can have private health care if you want. You know, 4-star private health care. If you want it, you can have it. But it is free at the point of delivery. Even Venezuela tries to do it. Doesn't do it very well.
Okay,
Cuba,
interesting example.
Cuba is one of the leading countries in the world with national health service.
They used to export doctors.
India, you know, it is cheaper to fly to India first class, and I don't mean business class. I mean first class. Stay in a 5-star hotel, have your operation, recuperate for a couple of weeks, and fly back than it is to have the operation done in Boston, Dallas, Kansas City, or New York.
Yeah.
Is it, I'm asking my fellow undressed, is it a cultural thing that you guys are just not able to deal with the idea of a national health system?
No, it's pure money, rules, and greed is actually idolized. Okay?
I prefer the term worshipped.
Worshipped is
No,
good.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
But I think that that notion is again buttressed by this notion of the
Used
American.
that word again.
I'm sorry, Jeremy.
Eric, he's used the word buttress for a couple
Now
of times.
you did it.
Oh, thumbs up.
Engineer-
He likes that one.
He says it's all right. It's
be a
all right.
word
You
for the
carry on
day,
and
I
you
can feel
buttress away, my dear boy.
All right.
Buttress away.
No, I think that money motive is buttressed by the.
Buttress. Don't you like a
Shut
nice
up.
buttressing in the morning? I do.
I like a good buttressing.
I do. We all like a nice buttressing. Don't we, engineers? We do. Yes. We all like a
Gotta
nice
have the right
buttressing in the
mattress for the
morning.
buttress.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Then
Little
it's a
foam
success.
pillow you can buy. Never
Do they
mind.
do buttressing in
Oh yeah, all the time.
Bulgaria?
Buttress, like first thing in the morning.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
It's
Sorry,
buttressed
what was it
by
you were saying?
the American concept, or what has become the American concept of freedom of choice. We somehow think that being required to have a doctor is the same thing as being forced to choose from a small pool of doctors. And nobody has stopped to question that the insurance companies force you to choose from a small pool of doctors. That one of the things that Obamacare does is open up the ability for you to choose a great number of people that you weren't able to choose from before because your insurance company limited you.
Yeah.
So,
And there's a lot of aspects to the medical system. I'm definitely not defending what we have or what we had.
Right.
Okay, because it's been
I get it.
janked for decades.
since the beginning.
Right.
Really.
Yeah, we can go take it all the way back to the original.
Yeah.
But it's a mess. Yeah, and something needs to be done with it. But you have doctors that are extremely talented that choose to become foot doctors or skin doctors because they're tired of paying outrageous insurance rates because somebody comes in, they have a problem, they can't save them or they can't help them, they get the shit sued out of them.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
And so they they pay
suing
these
part.
astronomical insurance rates. And
But
it's
this is my thing, is can you run a business, successful business and everything else, and you pay your taxes and so on, and you pay your healthcare and you have some sort of healthcare insurance.
Right.
This is all well and good until, God forbid, your daughter wakes up one morning or your son wakes up one morning and they've got cancer.
Right.
And you're broke forever.
And
you know,
and this house, this nice log cabin that you live in next to a lake,
Yeah.
that your father loves driving your tractor into, and
He's
all
getting a
that,
new
and your
lawnmower
collection,
tomorrow.
He has a
and
small
your
pool of
collection,
Use it 11.
your collection of sports cars and paraphernalia and everything else,
And your standing
all
date
has
with
to
Kim
go.
Kardashian.
All has to go to pay for your son or daughter's health care,
Yeah.
right?
It's a possible scenario,
yet
sure.
you still say it's okay.
I didn't say it was okay. I
Oh,
said the
so-
system
right,
is messed
okay.
up.
Right.
I thought I just said that.
Yeah, no, right.
I'm
Maybe
sure
I
that's what
was-
you said.
Do
I
I-
was so into
But the rest of the country considers that
He's
it is
not-
okay.
He's
That's
a
what-
reasonable
that's the best
Republican.
of all.
He's the kind of Republican we need in the White House. He's reason. He recognizes the.
Ken Hayes for
He's
president, I
not.
say.
He's not a talking head on the radio. He's not Rush Limbaugh.
Right.
He's a thinking
you.
Republican. He recognizes their problems. It's not everything that's on the right is correct. It's not that case. It's there's problems and it has to be fixed. You can't have a medical system that all of us here are pretty much doomed to go broke at some point because we break. We're,
Yeah.
we're human beings. Our bodies will break down at some point and we'll need help. And when you need that help, you have to give everything you have, exchange your home and your real pool for a small above-ground pool of doctors.
And look at it this way. A national health system has certain overheads that get out of control. The political control and the bureaucracy that runs it can get heavy. But the system that we've got here has, when you pay a medical bill, you have to support not just the doctor and the insurance premiums he's paying for getting sued and all the suits that people have made against him and paying those off. You're paying extra profits to pharmaceutical companies that you shouldn't have to pay. Yeah. You're paying the whole insurance complex. Every bill you have, you're supporting several hours of some insurance agent's time.
Yeah, and the governmental complex that you have to deal with as well.
So you've got the government complex here as well as in. Sure. So we cut out some of the middlemen.
You take a drug and you spend 20 years getting it through FDA trials, where other countries are already using it.
Yes.
For good or for good or bad.
Bureaucracy has to go, middlemen have to go, and maybe then the costs will go down.
What is interesting, I think, is that when you bring up the subject of drugs.
Did somebody say drugs?
Drugs that are acceptable.
Down, boy.
Here's your bag, man.
Drugs that are acceptable to, say, the British Medical Association.
Like cocaine.
Or France or Germany's equivalent, or Italy or whoever, right? Who've gone through all the trials, the Scandinavians have gone through it, and the Americans still insist on saying, yes, but you see,
we have to start at zero with that. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But I was asked just at the beginning of this conversation, what about England? I can tell you that in the Queen's speech, the Queen makes a speach on behalf of her government every year. Yep, the Queen's speech. She wears 30 pounds of crown and ermine. And yesterday she made the speech, and the government said that foreigners, people who are not resident in the UK paying tax, may have to start paying for their medical care. Which means that I've been wandering around telling people over the last 10, 15 years in America, if you have a heart attack while sunning yourself on a beach in England, a helicopter will turn up and will take you off to the nearest hospital. And really, they won't ask you, to pay. Tomorrow, they are going to want to know if you've got insurance. They'll still fix you.
Yeah.
But they want to know if you've got insurance.
You need very expensive mental health if you're sunning yourself on a beach in England.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've been on one English beach, and that's why I wear glasses now. But anyway.
I want to finish. Right. I want to finish this. Since we're talking about this is an absolutely true story. Okay, the helicopters that they use for the air rescue people who come in, and take. So, an old boy. He was 80-something years old. He was on a beach a few years ago, and he had a heart attack. The helicopter landed on the beach to collect him. He's still with it, but he'd had a heart attack, and he needs taking to the hospital. And so the medics are talking to him, and they say, "Have you ever been in a helicopter?" He said, "No, I haven't been in a helicopter. But funnily enough," he said, "I used to fly fighters during the war."
No.
Absolutely true. He was a fighter pilot.
Wow.
Flew Spitfires.
Wow.
And so the medic says, "Well," he said, "I know you've had a heart attack." He said, "But I hope this will make you smile." And they took off. And he said, "I'm back with you now." He said, "So, I hope this will make you smile." He said, "You're flying in a Messerschmitt."
Wow.
And it finished him off.
Yeah.
So they flew out to sea and just
Tell me,
over the side he went.
folks, my fellow undressed, are we all scared, actually, of Trump and Fox News and CNN's breaking news, even if they haven't got any breaking news?
It has been a slow news
Breaking
month.
news. We're going to have some news in and
We're
out.
having some news. The other day, a 40-year-old man with dark curly hair, olive skin, and an exotic foreign accent, very nervous, tried to keep himself to himself, inscrutably scribbling on a notepad he'd brought aboard the aeroplane, short-haul flight, deflected questions, and then for unknown reasons, the plane doesn't take off, it just turns around and heads back to the gate. Man's escorted off the plane and taken to meet some sort of an agent. Why? Well, a fellow passenger had seen something and said something. The curly-haired man the agent informed him very politely, suspected of terrorism. The curly-haired man laughed. He laughed because the scribbles weren't Arabic or another foreign language or even some special secret code. They were, in fact, math. Yes, math.
That's worse.
A differential equation, to be exact.
More frightening.
He is Guido Menzio. He's an economics professor at the University of Pennsylvania, born in America, lived in America all his life. Rising xenophobia stoked by the presidential campaign may soon make things worse for people who happen to look a little otherish. Is this an epidemic of paranoia? In America today, is the only thing more terrifying than foreigners math?
Of course, differential equations. How many frontal lobes have been baked by freaking differential equations? I mean, this is a dangerous weapon on its own. You know, I remember high school. I mean, I got annihilated by math. You know, just screw it. I mean, this guy needs to go to jail.
I would like to point out that, math, especially the number 0, is Arabic, so therefore...
Oh,
those fuckers.
Yeah, those guys.
That's
It's
a
all a
version
plot.
of Arabic
It's a
language.
plot that goes back thousands of years.
Yeah.
I just had to do that to get Kath.
Yeah, absolutely.
To just slam her face into the
I
table.
guess, I
Almost
guess,
got it.
I guess Jeremy was trying to say that we're profiling people, and that's inevitable. You know, after 9/11, profiling has become part of life, and it's going.
But should we go the
be.
way the French have gone, where they say, burqas and hijabs, or other
One of these
Toyota
days you will
pickups,
learn how to pronounce that word.
other
Hijab.
Toyota
Hijab.
pickups? What are they called? The Hijab?
Oh,
Hijab.
God.
Hijab.
Hijab.
It's a
Am I
Toyota.
saying
It's
that
made,
right?
they're made by
Yeah.
Toyota, aren't
Hijab.
I believe so.
they? Good job.
Good job.
The good jobs.
Aloha snack bar.
You're not allowed to wear them. That's it. Thank you very much. If you want to live in France, you don't wear a hijab. And
think
you're
so.
equally not allowed to walk around wearing a big cross.
I don't think so, because of the same reasons that when we just talked about the freedom of choice in healthcare. I think that having the government say what we can and can't wear runs counter to, again, that American idea of what freedom means.
No, I don't agree. The people get very pissed off when the federal government tells a state what to do, but they don't seem to get pissed off when the state tells a city what to do.
You think?
Yeah, you think. It's not that they want not to be controlled. It's that they want to be controlled only by people who agree with them.
That I will definitely agree with. Yeah.
You know, recently they proposed hijabs to be banned in Bulgaria as well, and this legislation is expected to pass. And they cited a very interesting reason: security. They said that it's like wearing a mask, and when you're going in a bank inside a bank with a hijab, it's like you're wearing a mask. And they said you need to have your face visible in the community. So they said, it's a security issue and we're banning hijabs. I'm guessing. And also, of course, it's devastating for the selfie industry. If you're
is a
wearing a
little rough,
hijab,
yeah.
the
It's very-
selfie
they all look the
industrial
same.
complex.
What are we going to do
It's
when
struggling
it's
with the
discovered
hijabs.
that one of the more private parts of our bodies tells more about our emotions and state of mind than the face? Are we
This
going to
is-
demand that everybody go around
As
naked?
males, we've
This
known that
point
for a long
on,
time.
gonna
I
be
know.
my
So
Facebook
how are people
status.
still allowed to wear trousers in public? I don't get it.
I now have a new campaign, a personal mission to eliminate all
But
undergarments.
is it, in all
Absolutely.
seriousness, is it what we
should know what people are
feel? Dale Carnegie used to call it a comfort zone. This is why Blazing Saddles was so interesting and so successful, because they had a black sheriff.
No,
You
it's
think-
because they all sat around and farted
and-
after eating beans.
Well,
Remember
there is that too.
Yeah.
This is a famous part.
But they
Yes.
had a black sheriff, right? And sheriffs weren't black, they were white. Actually, I bet you there were a few black sheriffs floating around. But it's just that that's what the book says. And we don't like our comfort zone. I remember being on an airplane, you were there quite a few years ago now, and some guy decides he wants to start praying. And he gets down in the aisle and he's going to pray, and the
He was Muslim?
stewardess is,
Yeah.
I imagine so. Or he was a real estate agent, one of the two. And
He's just drunk.
he could have been drunk. And the stewardesses put him in the where they make the coffee and everything in the galley.
Overhead containers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he just wanted
But-
peanuts. He's like,
but-
for the love of God,
Give
bring
me
me
a peanut."
peanuts. I've been waiting for 2 hours.
Well, let
have
me ask you two foreign-born Americans,
Foreigners.
Burners.
Goddamn.
Obviously, I
foreigners.
mean, I have a lot of experience with England and your
Yeah.
openness towards other cultures and races, but Bulgaria, I mean, a little xenophobic,
Yes.
kind of coming out of the gate there.
Yeah,
Just
there's-
curious.
There's definitely racism towards the Roma population.
Yeah.
A lot of racism.
Gypsies, you mean travelers?
I
Yes.
was stunned by that. Like, it was the most incredible thing to go over to Bulgaria and to experience somebody else dealing with like the overt racism that the Roma deal with
Right.
in Bulgaria. No, it was
Yeah.
eye-opening. Like, it's
You loved it, didn't you?
I didn't love it at all. I was very depressed by it, but I understood it, and I could understand it from both sides,
Right.
because all of a sudden I wasn't the focus of it. I
Yeah.
was the other, but I was enough of a new other.
You were focusing of
Yeah,
positive
but you-
attention
to be
because
fair,
there's
you
no
were the only-
African Bulgarians.
yeah.
So Louis was one of the few, and people were gravitating towards him. Women and
Taking
people.
photographs.
It's kind of
I
strange
can see
when
a
you're the.
story in a book coming from that.
We went to a soccer game with all the hooligans, and Louis was the star there. Everybody was like, "Oh, I want to be your friend." African
And that's
Bulgarian.
different from here. How?
Yeah, and those were supposedly the worst of the worst, the football hooligans.
Oh, right.
But they just wanted to be around him and shake his hand, and it's interesting. But we have a lot of lessons to take from the United States of America, in Europe in general. Every country has their borders, even though they seem to have been removed with the European Union, but there's so much ancient vendettas and historical hatred, and there's so many, like France and England,
bastard French.
even the
God
friendly,
damn it.
even the friendly Scandinavians, you guys, they hate each other. Norwegians and Swedes, Danes and Swedes, they look down on each other. There's a lot of ancient hatred. There's a lot of problems.
And the Finns are weird because they have their own language.
Yes, the
completely
Finns are
different than the rest of
completely.
Scandos.
They look at them as a completely separate entity, and it's a disaster. And not. I mean, I'm not even gonna go into Yugoslavia, the former Yugoslavia,
Oh, yeah.
and what kind of
That is a dumpster fire right there.
antagonism exists there that is beyond description. These are people that speak the same language, have the same culture, the same music and folklore, and they can't stand each other. So we are yet to become a melting pot in Europe, and we need to
Right.
look at the United States and understand those lessons that have been installed here in this country. And this is a great country because of it. I was pretty amazed when I came and I looked around and I saw, in New York City I lived for 6 months, and I saw a large Jewish population and Muslim population and all kinds of races living together, first generation immigrants driving taxis and being completely accepted, and this is tough in Europe.
And is one thing
Yeah.
that makes me sad
Yeah.
as far as my country's history is looking back. There used to be small neighborhoods in the larger cities where you had a little Scandinavia, you had a little Poland, you had
Yeah.
but those people made an effort to make sure that their children were educated in English, that they tried to integrate themselves. They became part of the melting pot. And I think now. There was for years there was a rise of nationalism. Now there's more of a rise of culture and heritage of the individual, and I don't think that urge to blend is happening anymore. And I think it's
No.
becoming more fractured,
Yes.
and that's where we end up in a situation where
And in Europe,
people think
there's
we're xenophobic.
There's
because of
instant separation in Europe when a small community moves from northern Africa or another country, Western European country, they immediately self-segregate and isolate themselves. And
Right.
this doesn't happen here. That people just kind of get accepted here, and yeah.
I disagree with both you guys. I disagree with both you guys because I am fully cognizant of the fact that for a while the Germans were castigated. Like you can go to parts of Pennsylvania right now, and there's entirely German populations.
you're talking about the
self-segregated.
Amish and-
Well, but there
They
are,
did that for religious reasons, though.
but every time you have a wave of different migrants that come to America, you have that same process of self-segregation, isolation, eventual assimilation.
But that's a natural immigration pattern.
Right.
You go wherever you can get familiar support, immediate support.
Right.
But eventually, those guys get absorbed in
Because the kids
society.
go to school and they speak English, and unless
Right.
you're at a school which has predominantly Spanish-speaking children, even the kids who sort of are third generation from Mexico,
Right.
and I'm generalising here.
dare
They
Go
are
ahead.
going to end up speaking English. They're going to be bilingual. They can speak English and Spanish.
And that's another
You
thing.
know.
Downside in the States is we don't spend nearly enough time teaching people more than one language. We need to be bilingual.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
interesting. The States does not, as I understand it, hold a big deal on geography. English is quite important. Math seems to be the most important. But they've done an analysis not very far back where if they ask your average high school kid, right, for what's the first year high
Or
school?
your average Trump.
Freshman.
A freshman high school, various countries in Europe, including England, right?
England
where
is a
they
country?
where they are, they don't know. They also asked various questions about the American continents, North America and South America,
Right.
and they didn't know where Mexico was,
Well,
right?
That's been a-
nobody does.
and
So
you
where
know,
are we going to put the wall?
Yeah. We don't want to put the wall on the wrong
no, I
side.
think the wall's a brilliant idea. It's clearly a brilliant idea.
Probably gonna head right through Kansas City.
Evo, one of the ways that you make the great wealth that you have
Yes.
for your family is
Yes.
from Inventions.
Yes.
And we had the foaming shower recently, which
I'm a
is
brilliant
a bit
inventor,
bit
yeah.
like the Niagara Fall.
The bubble shower. You refer to
that's-
bubble
that's
shower.
Talk
right,
about my
yeah.
favorite for just a second, though. The
Which one was
clip-on.
that?
The
The
clip-on
clip-on
ring?
Super Bowl ring. Yes.
Oh,
yes,
that
that's
is
fantastic.
good. Yeah.
So
Oh, but-
you were saying that there's another one in the offing.
Yeah. There's always new inventions. One of the most frustrating things, guys, for me personally, is I enjoy weddings. I like going to weddings because it's a party. There's a lot of loose women. There's a lot of drinking. It's a joyful occasion.
He's on to something here.
But I don't like going to weddings. Why? I want to go to a wedding. I enjoy a lot of things about it. There's
You don't
one
like
thing.
wearing the fancy white hats? And
There's the one thing that I hate.
What's that?
The stupid effing tuxedos. I hate wearing the stupid tux. It's confining, it's unpleasant. Most weddings are in the hot months, and you're hot. I enjoy having a room. I hate the tightness in your crotch. I enjoy what I call testicular exuberance, which is basically having a lot of space. A lot. Great name for a rock band, by the way.
That is a good name.
So what I came up with is a great new invention. It's basically tuxedo shorts.
Tuxedo shorts, yes.
It's tuxedo shorts, and believe it or not, I conceptualized it. I have it here on my computer. Just
What
a second.
did you do?
I conceptualized
he's drawn little pictures of it.
using the latest technology
Yes.
in tailor engineering.
Yes.
Um,
Tailored engineering.
Tailored engineering.
Yes.
I conceptualized the tuxedo shorts.
Right.
It will be on the Facebook page. it will be on the Facebook page and on the Wednesday night
That
yes.
is
undressed.
very nice.
Wednesday night undressed Facebook page and
Jeremy has
website.
excellent
Just
legs.
Google Wednesday
Yes.
night undressed to,
Yes.
to see what is
I think he
going to
needs black
sweep
socks to
Yes.
accent it.
sweep the nation. It's going to sweep the nation. This is a truly incredible invention, and I have a name for it. We have a tuxedo. I call this tuxedons.
Tuxedos.
Tuxedons. Tuxedo.
Yes.
Tuxedons.
Dones. D-O-N-S.
Don't.
Yes, D-O-N-T.
Like don't. Don't do it.
Uh,
Tuxedo don't. Yes. Tuxedo don't.
Don't the Australians do something like this already?
You will be able to dance. You will be able to enjoy the party. You will be able to show some skin for the ladies. Or for the guys, if you will, it's up to
Now-
you. It's up to your preferences.
I noticed you've got some fairly
And
casual
a lot of
shoes on
testicular
there.
exuberance.
Now, I do need to ask. I noticed that you're using a black tux there. I mean,
Yes.
does this work with a white tux as well?
I
would
haven't
would
tried
you
it with a
bring
white
race
tux.
up
Because normally you would wear white
it.
tux
Why's
and
it
black
gotta go there?
trousers or a black
Always,
shirt.
always with him.
See, I'm not sure,
Goddamn
Jeremy.
imperialist
This is really. This is really a daring concept
I
that
haven't
you're
figured out why you
proposing.
guys are
So
friends.
we have
Can
to
I
think
just
about
get the
this.
spelling? So TUXDONTS.
Yes, just like the word
Tux
don't. Do
Tux
not.
don'ts.
Tux don'ts.
Don'ts. Right.
Yeah.
We will have to see whether or not we can actually have a trial pair of don'ts made, and try them for a future.
And just promote gargantuan testicular exuberance all over any wedding. I mean, imagine 50, 60
could you go
people.
with, instead of the actual shorts, more like a Speedo type tuxedo?
Oh
can
no,
try
I've
that.
done the speedos. I did that.
this-
I did that when I first came here. Do you know?
Yeah.
I wore some speedos down at the lake, and women were screaming.
Yeah, and trying to
yeah.
get out of the
Fish
water.
They were.
leapt from the water.
Screaming. But see, you know what's good about the tuxedo?
Alligators were leaving the lake
Yeah,
in herds.
You're like, I'm out.
Tuxpedos. That's a good.
Okay.
That's a good brand.
I like that,
Tuxpedos.
Tuxpedos.
With the tuxpedos, it's a good idea to wear them at a wedding because usually there's a lot of hanky-panky happening after the wedding with the bridesmaids.
Honestly, I
with
need
the
to go to
tux-
weddings in Bulgaria.
Well,
'cause
the tuxpedos.
Well,
the
they're up a mountain, you
tuxpedos-
see. Nobody
Expedite
knows.
the-
The tuxpedos lower automatically the sperm count and help your contraceptive efforts after the after the wedding.
How very
Excellent,
responsible.
Excellent.
Yes.
I think we have come to the time in the evening when we must
please.
go very slowly and sedately to talk to sedately Dr. Orlando. I think it's that time when you
His
bring
word
us all
is-
together.
His
Before
word
you
is
start,
buttress.
This is the word, right?
This is the word.
Before you
Buttress.
start, I want to point out that I have successfully not remembered even one of the words of the week.
Nor
since
have
we
I used
started
them in
to-
a sentence.
I hear you. I hear
Now it's time for me to grab Mike.
you. He's not ready, you know, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
I think
Can I tell
maybe
another
we
joke?
need to. Oh God!
All right.
That's
I
not.
think we need to try to use these words every day until the
Oh,
next
good
podcast.
God.
While we're waiting
that be
for the
good?
word to be upon us, I want to thank our sound and editing team, Neil Rasmussen and Eric Holcomb. Tom Conroy, of course, for letting us do this every week to come in and try his steak fries.
What's wrong with that man?
And for running probably one of the coolest proper pubs in the region. You can get hold of Wednesday Night Undressed by going to where, children? Where do you go to?
WednesdayNightUndressed.com.
And look at
That's
some
strangely
tuxpedos.
weird, isn't it, to go to Wednesday Night Undressed? Are we going to be doing the word, or are you being put off going to the pulpit?
It's just taking a second. It's,
He's just making his way to the
Words
pulpit.
escape
as
him,
words
so to
have
speak.
escaped him as he's making his way to the pulpit.
The word is buttress.
I have one headline.
Buttress.
Oh, yes, buttress.
I have one headline to do, if you like.
Okay,
But
one
I
headline.
was too busy to do much else. Okay.
Okay.
The headline is Around the World
In 80
without-
days.
blank.
Hats.
The world.
Without
Hats.
what?
Hats.
Hats. Without hats. Well, that would
Refueling.
be difficult. Actually, it's around the world without fuel.
That you got it. You
With
got it.
no fuel
This is solar-
whatsoever.
Solar plane.
The solar plane that's making its way over the course of several months around the world.
Oh,
using
this
strictly,
over several months. This isn't how Howard Hughes would have done it.
well,
It'd
around
have
the
been
world in
up
80 days.
once
Should
and
be good
down
enough.
once, and you're done. And
Yeah.
everybody knows where they stand. It's cheating. Not
All
proper
right.
around the
Definitely
world.
not- yeah.
brothers and sisters, our word for today, Bildungsroman.
And you're asked
This is
why we
supposed
don't
to be
use these in a
English.
sentence
This
during
is,
the week.
this is English.
Is this buttressed?
This is buttressed. It is buttressed with definitions.
Bildungsroman.
Bildungsroman. Is it an erotic toy, a book, or an architectural feature?
I'm going to go with 3.
I'll go with 2. He's got a 2 down there in the
Our engineers
editing.
have said 2.
I'm gonna go with the book.
The
as
book?
well.
Bildungsroman.
Nobody's choosing erotic toys. Probably that, sweetie. You'd like that.
I would.
Yeah.
Bildungsroman. I'm going to turn to the audience. Bildungsroman. Audience. Bildungsroman.
What does it
Is
mean?
it
Bildungsroman.
erotic
Is it a-
toy, a book, or an architectural feature? Bildungsroman. an architectural feature. So that is the view of the audience.
The answer is it is a book.
Oh, no free drinks.
From the German Bildung for education and Roman for novel in France. It's a novel about coming of age.
You've been
Bildung.
listening
Wow.
to Wednesday Night Undressed, and I could say you're very naughty for listening, but we know you'll be back for more frivolity next week here on WednesdayNightUndressed.com. Yay!
Yay.